which I think would come as gravely insulting to Alex, but I myself am flattered enormously. With me now is foreign policy analyst and Professor Sierra Knopp. Sierra, lovely to be with you. What are your initial reflections on the events that have unfolded from Donald Trump threatening civilizational doomsday scenario through to what appears to be a ceasefire that's been agreed by the United States, Israel and Iran, subject to the Strait of Hormuz being opened and talks which have been flagged to commence on the 10th of April, this coming Friday?
Yeah, great question. I've actually been following this all week and talking about it all week and writing about it. I've been saying there's been a lot of talk about that the negotiations weren't real, which was propaganda from the Iranian side. And I've been saying I believe there are talks going on. I believe they are substantive. So, I'm not too surprised about this. But I am very, happy to see that there's a ceasefire for the Iranian sake. Not because the U.S. needed an off ramp or anything like that, but because they decided to do the right thing for their country.
At the same time, I think you may find that there will be many Iranian people, and this may be counterintuitive to some observers in the West who may be disappointed with this outcome. There is a huge amount of support for the United States military action, both amongst the Iranian diaspora outside of Iran as well as within Iran internally. You only have to see the marches that were brutally repressed by the regime earlier this year to know that this is not a popular regime. Is there the possibility that the Iranians may see this as a betrayal from Israel and the United States when they would have preferred them to go ahead and finish the job?
I think President Trump said recently in one of his speeches, he's made a few, I don't know which one it was, but he said, we haven't forgotten the Iranian people and we are going to finish the job. So I'll be interested to see what this ceasefire agreement, what the points are and what the substantive information is in that. In terms of the power that is going to remain with the Iranian government, I mean, for right now, we know that this Iranian government is going to remain in place, whoever they are that's left. But there's things that can be done. There's transition periods that can be worked into these type of negotiations. There are, we can impose that we want a referendum for the Iranian people. So all of those things I think are still possibilities. And if anything, once the country is safe from military action, the Iranian people still have a voice. And so I don't want to forget them. And they're really the ones who are driving this. So I think there's still a lot that can be worked out on that part.
You just referred to the future of the Iranian government. I think you said whoever they are. Since the death of the Ayatollah and then the frankly extraordinary decimation of the top layers of their leadership structure, a decimation which I don't think has any equivalent, at least in modern warfare. Michael on my panel said they moved to a mosaic style leadership structure, a decentralized leadership structure of military leaders across the country. The new Ayatollah is allegedly, from what we are hearing, still incapacitated following that strike that killed his father. Do you have any insight into how decisions are being made in Iran at the moment, where power resides, and when we see that news coming through Iranian state TV, who is actually delivering that? Where is this all coming from?
I believe that I heard that there was a new Iranian intelligence minister. The first one was killed in the most recent strikes from Trump after the Iranians shot down our plane. But there is a new one, so I believe they said he was substantially involved. And, I think the thing to look at, though, is regardless of who's in power right now, the behavior that we're seeing from the Iranian regime is from President Trump and the belief that his threat was credible. And I think that's so key because inevitably we're going to hear, oh, this was part of the art of the deal, whatnot. President Trump does mean what he says, and that's what has produced the Iranians to actually be willing to negotiate on something reasonable. And in addition to the military devastation that we've already imposed on them.
Sierra, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.